Right now, somewhere in your life, there is something you know you should be doing, and you're not doing it. Maybe it's an email, maybe it's a project, maybe it's a big life goal, and you've been putting it off for years without even realizing it. Today, we're going to find out exactly why your brain does this using one of the most watched TED Talks in history. And by the end, you might understand yourself a little better. At the very least, you'll learn some new vocabulary words for sure. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the podcast series where we take a talk worth watching and turn it into a full English lesson with real vocabulary, real expressions, and real listening practice all in one. I'm Tara. I've been an English teacher for 15 years, a long time. It might be longer than that now. I can't do the math. Before we start, if you're new here, hit subscribe and like this video now so you don't miss future lessons like this one. It genuinely helps the channel and it just takes 2 seconds. Today's talk is by writer Tim Urban and it's called Inside the Mind of a Master Procrastinator. It's been viewed more than 70 million times because almost everyone, including me, recognizes themselves in it. Here's what I want you to do while you listen. I'm going to ask you 2 comprehension questions right now. Keep them in your mind as we go and see if you can answer them by the end. Question 1. What does Tim Urban call the place in your mind where you go to avoid doing your work? And why does he say people feel guilty while they are there? Question 2, why do some long-term goals in life, big important ones, sometimes never get finished at all? Keep those in mind. Now, let's dive into the talk. Tim Urban describes the mind of a procrastinator using a funny visual model. It's 3 characters living inside your brain. The first is called the rational decision maker. This is the sensible part of you that wants to plan ahead and get things done on time. Rational, that's our first vocabulary word. It means based on logic and reason, not emotion. For example, try to make a rational decision, not an emotional one. But there's a second character. The instant gratification monkey. This monkey only cares about what feels good right now. What's easy, what's fun, what's comfortable. Gratification. This means pleasure or satisfaction, especially something enjoyed immediately. Choosing the cake over the salad is instant gratification. And when there's no pressure, the monkey usually grabs the steering wheel. The rational decision maker can't do much about it. This is where procrastination happens. And that is our next word, procrastination. The act of delaying or putting off tasks. And here's a phrasal verb that describes exactly this. To put off something means to delay doing it until later. For example, I keep putting off cleaning my apartment. Notice we don't always plan to put things off. It just happens because the monkey is driving. Now, when you're procrastinating, Urban says you often end up in a place he calls the dark playground. I think this is a great expression to learn. The dark playground is a place in your mind where you do things you enjoy, like scrolling on your phone, watching videos, but you know you shouldn't be doing them right now. So you feel guilty the entire time. It's not real relaxation because relaxation is supposed to feel good. This doesn't feel good. So how does anything ever actually get finished? Urban introduces a third character, the panic monster. The panic monster is asleep most of the time, but it wakes up at the moment a deadline, or the date or time by which something must be finished. It wakes up when the deadline gets close, or something feels genuinely urgent. And urgent means it needs immediate attention. For example, this email is urgent. Please reply today. The moment the panic monster wakes up, the monkey gets scared and runs away, and the rational decision maker finally takes control of the wheel again. This explains a few very real habits. Have you ever heard someone say they pulled an all-nighter? That means they stayed awake all night working on something, usually because it was due soon. For example, she pulled an all-nighter to finish her essay. Or maybe you've cut it close before. That means you left barely enough time to finish something before a deadline. For example, we really cut it close finishing the presentation 5 minutes before the meeting. Both of these happen because of the panic monster. The moment it snaps into action, meaning it suddenly starts working quickly and seriously, everyone around it does too. But here's Urban's most important point, and it's a little more serious. For short-term tasks, there's always a deadline eventually, so the panic monster always wakes up sooner or later. But for big long-term goals, relating to a long period of time in the future, like starting a business or living the life you actually want, there is often no deadline at all. And if there is no deadline, the panic monster never wakes up, which means some of the most important things in our lives can get put off not for weeks, but maybe for years, and maybe even forever. Now, can I be honest with you for a moment? When I first watched this talk years ago, I didn't laugh. He has all these funny expressions and characters, but it wasn't funny to me because I actually felt a little exposed. Because I recognize every single character. I recognize the monkey. I recognize the dark playground. Most of all, I recognize that quiet, uncomfortable feeling of having a big goal with no deadline and just not starting. I think the reason this talk has been watched over 70 million times isn't really about time management. It's about honesty. So Tim Urban, he isn't scolding anyone. He's just naming something that we all have felt or we feel, but we rarely say these things out loud. And I love that for you as English learners too, learning a language is exactly the kind of long-term goal with no deadline that this talk is warning us about. Nobody is going to force you to practice today. There is no panic monster coming out to save you. Unless, of course, you have a big English exam coming up or an essay you need to hand in. But overall, the general learning of another language, of learning English, there's no deadline there. A panic monster is not about to jump in and make you jump into action. So if you're here and you're watching this, you're listening to this, practicing your English on a random day with no deadline pushing you, that actually says something really good about you. So keep on going. Let's bring it all together. Here's everything we covered today with the definition for each vocabulary word, expression, and phrasal verb. So first we learned procrastination. This is a noun. It means the act of delaying or putting off tasks. Number 2, we have deadline, also a noun. It's the date or time by which something must be finished. Number 3, rational. Rational is an adjective. It means based on logic and reason, not emotion. Number 4 is gratification. This is a noun. It means pleasure or satisfaction, especially something enjoyed immediately. Number 5, the word is urgent. This is an adjective. It means needing immediate attention or action. And number 6, long term. This is also an adjective, relating to a long period of time in the future. We also had a few phrasal verbs and expressions. So the first of those are put off. Put off is a phrasal verb. It means to delay doing something until later. Next, we had dark playground. This is an expression, a place in your mind where you do enjoyable things you know you shouldn't be doing right now, and you feel guilty the whole time. Number 3, pull an all-nighter. This is another expression. It means to stay awake all night working on something, often because it's due soon. Next, we have cut it close, which is an expression meaning to leave barely enough time to do something before a deadline. And last, we had snap into action, another expression meaning to suddenly start working quickly and seriously, usually because of pressure. Now, remember those 2 comprehension questions from the start? Let's see if you can answer them in the comments. Number 1 was, what is the dark playground and why do people feel guilty when they are there? And number 2 is, why do some long-term goals never get finished at all? Try to use one of today's new words or expressions in your answer. I'll be reading the comments and replying to as many of them as I can. So put your answers in there and I'll let you know if you got it right. If you enjoyed this lesson, please like this video, subscribe so you can catch every new episode, and genuinely share it with a friend who always leaves things until the last minute. They'll probably laugh, and they might even learn something. Or maybe they'll get angry. So if that's the case, don't tell them why you're sharing it with them. Thank you so much for listening. Remember, English has no borders, and this language belongs to you too. I'll see you in the next lesson.